So I think a lot of people assume that TV writers must all be incredibly wealthy, that it's like probably a very lucrative job, especially if you're on a hit show. What does a TV writer actually make in general?
Well, it really depends on how much experience you have, what your rate is, if you have agents, which we had to fire all of our agents this year, which was a whole thing.
Drama.
Yeah. It's all about how much experience you have, what kind of show it is, where it airs, how long it is. There's all these different things. If you join the WGA, they give you like a schedule of minimums, and the minimums tend to be for like a person writing for like a weekly sitcom. I think the minimum is like, I think it's like between 3,000 and 5,000 a week. Per week of your contract. But then, you get taxed as though you're making that for the entire year.
Right.
So like the amount that you actually see is not very high compared to like what that sounds like. But, as you get more experience, usually when you get offered a new contract or if you get brought on for a new season, there's increases in pay. So you start out making 3,000 to 5,000 a week, depending, who you are, who your agent is. And once you get to be a producer or like a story editor, executive story editor, it goes up to like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. Once you're a producer, it's like 10,000. Executive producers, 14,000 or 15,000 or more. And those people also get a share in like other forms of revenue the show generates. Writers do too, but it's like a lot smaller. So it's a very convoluted way of saying if you're working for a show that has like I don't know, let's say you have a 16-week writer's room, you get paid, $80,000-ish or so, like roughly, if you're just a low-level writer, and you can get paid a lot more if you're a high-level writer. But you're not, like I said, the taxes situation is significant, and TV writing is lucrative, and so it's very coveted. And there are, for every person in a writer's room, there are like 15 PAs, writer's assistants, and like other people that are just graduating film school, like really good novelists, all these people that have the skills necessary to be a good TV writer, just kind of waiting in the wings.
Totally.
So unless you've been doing it for a really long time, the newer you are, the more interchangeable you are, like the more disposable you are. Like if you're just a TV writer with a one season's experience or whatever, you can easily be replaced. You don't have like this deep knowledge of the show. You don't have like chemistry with the other writers. It's a very like fraught and like nerve-wracking lifestyle. And there's some writers who will just write for one show and they won't get another job for the rest of the year. So like if you're an Always Sunny writer or something and you can try to get in another room, but you might not. And which means that that's the only income that you're making. So it's sort of a lifestyle where you have to be in survival mode all the time unless you're an upper level writer or producer, which is, it's like anxiety inducing for sure.
The funny thing is with a lifestyle and an income fluctuation like that, a person being smart about a job like that would be striving to save like 50% of their income at least. And I have a strong speculation, knowing the people in media, that I know that it's probably not the case for most.
There are some people that are pretty good at it. But I think that most people that have been doing it for a little while have a good sense of like saving and splurging. Like I know one writer who she and her husband always go on these big, long, amazing trips after she's done working in a writer's room. So it's like they don't live an extravagant lifestyle or anything like that, but they do this one cool big thing.
Yeah. Like teachers who go on vacations during the beginning of summer.
Yeah, exactly, sort of. And then there's also, some people try to supplement their income. There are other ways to make money as a writer besides being in a writer's room. Sometimes you get hired to do like punch-ups on a script. You get hired to do an outline on something. Like you're not necessarily working full-time in a writer's room, but you might be working on a film, but not the whole film, just like part of it. You might do punch-ups where they'll call like a group of funny people together in a room, and you guys will like work on a scene and like help the movie be funnier. Like with kids movies, a lot of times they'll hire comedians to do punch-ups and stuff.
That's such a fascinating world to me.
Yeah.
So the job took you to LA.
Job took me to LA. I had illusions about being bi-coastal because I thought it would be like cool and glamorous, but it's not. I was exhausted all the time. I didn't know what time it was. Like,
wait, so how are you doing the bi-coastal? Like what was that setup?
I was still working at the Daily Beast. But I was a contributor, so they kind of just let me come and go as I pleased. And then CNN and HLN was like amenable to my travel schedule, so they wouldn't book me on weeks that they knew I was going to be in LA, or they would just book me specifically for an LA Flash studio instead of being like in studio in New York. So I would be New York for like 3 weeks, LA for like a week and a half. New York for 3 weeks, LA for a week and a half.
And did you maintain apartments in both?
No, out here I did Airbnb whenever I stayed out here, because it was just like my real home is New York. I'm a New Yorker, blah, 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 blah. And then I got to a point where it was like all of the money I was making was out here. Right. The company I have a podcast with is out here. The show I write for is out here. New York started to feel like a vanity project. It was like, I don't need to be here. Like, and also I'm tired and I really want like a place to live. So I finally, I got offered a different job on a different show. I'd written for Sunny, and then there's this new show out on Apple TV called Mythic Quest. It's not out yet, but it's coming out. And worked in season 1 of that writer's room. And once I got that job, I was like, okay,